Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Álvaro Castaño. I'm one of the co-chairs of Conexión, along with Dan Calonge. Conexión, as you know, is the Hispanic ERG. And to celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month, we're doing a series of cooking videos for Hispanic food. So today, we're going to feature Spain, my favorite country. I'm here with my wife, Terry Castaño, and I'm also with my cameraman, Andy White, who has graciously volunteered to help us do all the filming. So thank you, Andy, for coming. Today we'll be making Spanish tortilla, not to be confused with Mexican tortillas. Very different. Spanish tortilla is almost like a quiche, but it's cooked on top of the stove on a skillet. It's not baked. And the main ingredients are potatoes and onions. As a side to the tortilla, we're going to show you how to make some mayo, but in this case it's a garlic mayo, which is called alioli. And we'll also do some pan tumaca, which is a variation of a gazpacho, which is great on toasted bread. Some quick history on the tortilla. It's probably one of the most typical dishes in Spain. In Spain, lunchtime is at 2 p.m. People usually at noon, they go out for coffee and a pincho de tortilla. It's a snack before lunchtime, basically. And let's talk about the ingredients. So here's what we have for the tortilla. The main thing, as I mentioned, is potatoes. These are shredded potatoes. As you can see, you can actually find this at Kroger. Actually, all the ingredients that we have here today, you could find at Kroger, so it's very easy to do, okay? So a bag of these simply potatoes, shredded hash brown potatoes. If you rather do fresh potatoes, the same thing. You can peel the potatoes, slice them, and then it's even better. But today, for simplicity, I'm going to use this. Then 2 small onions, or you could use a large onion, either way. We need 5 eggs. The eggs that I use, by the way, also from Kroger, these eggs are amazing. They're not yellow, they're amber. They're more expensive than the regular eggs, but they're fantastic. I highly recommend. Of course, some salt, olive oil. I like using the extra virgin unfiltered olive oil, is always best. This is just olive juice, that's what it is. It's not processed, it's cold pressed, etc. It's fantastic. Of course, you know, Spain is one of the highest producers of olive oil in the world, so we love it. You need some wine as well. I like to use white wine for this recipe. In this case, I have a Riesling. It's a little sweet, but it would be fantastic for this tortilla. And that's all the ingredients you need for the tortilla. Then for the alioli, we're going to have some vegetable oil. I like sunflower oil as well. That's really good for the alioli. A little bit of lemon and some garlic. That's it. And then for the pan tumaca, we'll need some tomatoes. These are from our garden, actually. So, you know, the better the tomato, the better the pan tumaca, of course. And the ingredients for that are very simple. Tomatoes, olive oil, some salt. Okay? Tools that we'll be using today. We have a hand blender for the alioli. We have a Ninja blender for the pan tumaca. Of course, this device here is called a vuelve tortilla. It's a device that we use to flip the tortilla from the skillet. That's the hardest part of making a tortilla, so pay attention to that one. And then I have a strainer to be able to strain the potatoes once they're cooked. All right, I think that's it, and we're ready to get started. Terry, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
We chef.
Andy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so the first thing that we have to do is open the wine. Always start with that, and then basically you just have to fill these glasses about halfway. Yeah, you need 3 of them in this case. And then what you do with these wines is that you toast before you cook. So salud, everybody.
Salud.
Next step, you're gonna get the potatoes. You need a knife. Open the bag. Here is my skillet with a little olive oil. And this is just a drizzle to start. And put the potatoes there. We have the potatoes on the skillet. As you can see, they are shredded potatoes. A little olive oil so far, nothing else. Next, we're going to chop the onions. Right here, just slice them. Whoop. And there you have it. The onions are chopped. We take the onions and we add them with the potatoes. And we're ready to put this mixture on the heat. We add a little bit more of olive oil to it. That's about total, I would say it will take about half a cup of olive oil. And then finally, we'll bring the salt. This is coarse salt. You can also find at Kroger, of course. And you do 1 pinch of salt and 2. That's it. That's already cooking for us. I have the heat at maybe 2/3 of it, so medium high. Okay. All right, next we're gonna be making the alioli. I love making alioli because it's like making magic. It's very easy and it works really well and it's fantastic. So let's make some magic. Vegetable oil, as I mentioned, you're gonna do about a finger or so into either a glass or a plastic container. That's about a half a cup as well. You're gonna get some garlic, and in this case I like to buy this garlic, comes in a package at Kroger as well, and you just need 2 pieces of garlic in there. Chef, would you give me some parsley? Next we get 1 egg, that's all you need. And I like to tilt this so that the egg doesn't break while I pour it. Okay? A pinch of salt as well. And then we're going to squeeze a little bit of lemon into it as well. And half a lemon is about the right amount for this. And I just squeeze the lemon over a little strainer so that you don't get the seeds in it. Alright, so here's a hand blender. As you can see, I assume you have one of these at home. If not, I recommend you getting one. They're very handy. You bring in the blender and make sure the blade goes over the egg yolk and the garlic as much as you can, like that. And now this is very important. Make sure not to move your hand as you're blending for the first minute, exactly a minute. So Andy, if you want to come a little closer here now, I'm going to start blending. Once it turns into this color, you're gonna start moving the blender. Make sure everything is well mixed. And finally, I'll add a little bit of parsley to the mix to taste. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is alioli. There you have it. We give it a quick taste. Oh, it's fantastic. The next thing we're making is the pan tumaca. So for that, as I mentioned, we need the Ninja with a cup, and all you need is a couple tomatoes, depending on how much you want to make. So I'm going to make just 2 tomatoes. That's all I need for this dish today. I'm going to remove the stem component of it. For both of them. Right in there, and the same thing for this guy. Now in this house we like to compost, so the excess that you get from your fruits, vegetables, you can put it right into your compost bucket. This one can stay in your kitchen. It has a filter so that the odors don't come from the fruit out. And then once it's full, you can take it to your compost pile and start your compost process. 1 clove of garlic, pinch of salt, and for this you want to use the best olive oil that you have. Do not use vegetable oil, do not use Crisco, do not use anything like that. Canola, right? You want your best olive oil possible. It's all about the ingredients. Since this olive oil is unfiltered, that means it has sediments in the bottom of it. So you always want to spin your olive oil before you use it, especially if it's unfiltered. And then you give it about another half cup, generous amount. Before we continue, we're going to take a look at the potatoes. So these potatoes, as you can see, they're cooking nicely. They're a little dry, so I'm going to give it a little bit more olive oil. Remember, we'll strain that before we cook the tortilla, okay? And I just want to spin it. All right, let's go back to making some pan tumaca. So at this point in time here, we have the 2 tomatoes, we have a head of garlic, we have some salt, and we're going to cover that. We put it on the Ninja. And then you just want to give it a few spins. Don't let it blend in constantly, just a few spins. That's about right. That's pan tumaca, that's simple. Alright, so we have our pan tumaca and the alioli all ready to go to help the tortilla. As I mentioned, we need a total of 5 eggs for the tortilla, sitting here. And as you can see, these eggs are not yellow, they're amber. It's a much better egg, as I mentioned, and it's much healthier. As I say, these eggs, I believe these eggs come from real chickens. The yellow eggs come from alien chickens. So make sure you eat eggs from real chickens. We'll give it a little pinch of salt as well. That's all you need. The final touch for the eggs is a little bit of milk or cream, whatever you have works. And the intention for that is to make the tortilla a little bit more fluffy. So about a 1/4 cup. We like fluffiness. As you can see, the potatoes are getting there now, getting some color. We left the heat at the same level, so about medium-high, right? And you just have to continue moving the potatoes. And I'm going to give it just 1 more sprinkle of olive oil. So for the pan tumaca, We like to buy this La Brea bread. It's partially baked, but you can put it in your toaster oven for a couple of minutes. That's all it needs, and it's fantastic. You'll also find that at Kroger. What I like about this bread too, you can freeze it, and it lasts a long time. And when you need it, you nuke it in the microwave for 30 seconds, and then you put it in the toaster oven for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and it's ready to go. What we do is we slice the bread, and now this bread is going to be toasted, and then the pan tumaca will go on top of the bread. While the potatoes are cooking, we'll talk about the huelva tortillas. It's basically a lid. It looks like a lid. In reality, though, this is not a lid for a pot, although you could use it as such. But it works really well for the huelva tortillas. It's actually made to flip the tortilla around. Now, if you don't have one of these, you could also use a plate, a flat plate. It's harder to use with a plate because there is no way to grab it. It doesn't have a handle. So I recommend getting one of these or using a lid that you already may have. Make sure the lid doesn't have any edges here, so you can then put the tortilla back on the skillet without the tortilla getting stuck. Alright, so this is about ready. As you can see, all you want is these bean hash browns. They cook very fast. And all you want is for the hash browns to have a little bit of color like that. At this point in time, we're ready to put the hash browns into the strainer. The skillet that we have here will be the one that we use for the tortilla as well. So you don't have to use multiple skillets. With one skillet, you can do the job. So we'll leave this here. We're gonna give the potatoes a minute to cool down. Strain the oil a little bit, then we'll mix it with the eggs and we'll be ready to start making a tortilla. As you know, cooking is hard, so always make sure you have enough wine. At this point in time, we have the eggs ready to go. We have the potatoes with the onions already cooked. The next thing you want to do is make sure you taste your potatoes just to make sure they have enough salt. If they don't, you want to add salt now. Once the tortilla is cooked, it's not, you can really put any more salt into it. They're lacking a little bit of salt, so what I'm going to do is add a little bit more salt to the egg mixture. Alright, and at this time we're ready to mix the potatoes with the eggs. That's the batter per se for the tortilla. Ideally, you let the potatoes cool down a little bit longer, but that's okay. All right, just mix it, but not too much. Olive oil. The main thing when cooking a tortilla is to make sure that it doesn't get stuck on the bottom of the pan. It has to fly in the pan, and I'll show you that in a minute. If it doesn't slide on top of the pan, you're gonna have trouble flipping it over. The heat, again, about medium high, more medium than high. So I have it at a 5 setting, right? 7 will be a medium high. I'm going to be medium and a little bit over. Make sure your oil is hot. Don't put the mixture in there until the oil is hot. You'll see it smoking a little bit. All right, I think we're ready to go. And it's just as simple as dumping the tortilla mix right on it. Make sure you spread it a little bit so it's flat on the top, right? And as you can see, you gotta make sure that the tortilla flies inside the pan. So the way you do that, you turn it, and you gotta see it moving. Start bringing the edges to the inside a little bit. We call this in Spain the breakfast of champions. And as you can see, it's now free, and that's what you need to. If you're moving the skillet and the tortilla is not floating, you're in trouble. You gotta continue moving it so that it's free and not stuck anywhere. We're gonna let it cook on this side for about a minute or two. Tortilla flipper, we go here. We're going to take a little bit of olive oil on it, just to make sure that the tortilla slides well on the flipper. Spread that a little bit. So that's ready to go. Check it again, make sure it's flying freely. And at this point in time, this is the hardest part of making a tortilla. You gotta put the flipper in there. Make sure you got a lot of pressure with your hands, so when you turn it, it doesn't slide over. Come back to the heat. A little bit more olive oil. Tortilla goes back in there. And now you start giving it a little shape by again folding in the edge of the tortilla. Alright, so we're almost finished. As you can see, the tortilla has a beautiful color. We cooked it on one side and we flipped it over. As I mentioned, that's the hardest part. Make sure you do that over the sink, because it's very easy to lose your tortilla on top of your fire, on the floor. It happens all the time, especially at the beginning, so you have to practice. I'm going to flip it one more time to show you the process again. Back to the skillet. That's about ready, so we're going to put it on a plate. And the way you know it's ready is by putting some pressure on it. You don't want it too hard. You want to make sure that it's fluffy inside. Don't overcook the tortilla. And there it is. Tortilla is completed. So we have the tortilla. We have the Pan Tumaca from Barcelona, Pan Tumaca. And we have the garlic alioli ready to go. The way you serve it, you'll cut it in slices like a pie. Like a pizza, small pieces. Keep in mind there are 5 eggs in here. And then you serve it with a little alioli on top of it, and the toasted bread with the Pan Tumaca on it. All right, so here we are. As you can see, it's a pretty easy process. We were able to make a beautiful tortilla, again, a Spanish tortilla. If you go to Spain, you'll find this at every bar and every restaurant all over the country. We were able to make some Tumatec, Pan Tumaca, and we were able to also make some garlic alioli. Okay, so in order to serve this, what I do is I cut the tortilla in half. And then I cut it in half again. And then one more time. So in essence, you're going to get 8 portions of tortilla with 1 bag of potatoes and with 2 onions, 2 small onions. Goes on the plate. A little bit of the alioli on top. Then we'll do some Pan Tumaca. And when you use good produce, good tomatoes, good olive oil, you can't go wrong. It's always going to be fantastic. And there you have it. Tortilla española with alioli and with Pan Tumaca. And if you're fancy, I'm fancy, you give it a little bit of Spanish paprika, sweet paprika. Again, another great product of Spain, paprika from the region of La Vera. The smell of it is unbelievable. So there you have it. Enjoy it. I want to challenge Chris Nices. I want to challenge Dan Calonge to make a Spanish tortilla at home and send us all a picture. Thank you. I want to say thank you to my wife, Terry, and thank you to Andy White. Let's go through the ingredients one more time. So we have the Simply potatoes from Kroger, unfiltered olive oil, extra virgin, salt, 2 onions, eggs, bread, tomato, vegetable olive oil for the alioli, with some lemon and some garlic, and the tomatoes with the olive oil and salt for the pan tumaca. And this is the pimentón de la Vera, paprika, Spanish paprika. There is nothing better. This product is amazing. You could find this online. And that's all, folks. Thank you so much. Cheers to everybody. I hope you can make a tortilla at home, eat like a Spaniard, and enjoy life. Salud.
Salud.